This is a great way to start the episode, honey, don't you think?
Fantastic way to start the episode.
Yeah. Hey, Maniacs.
Hey, Maniac.
That was a long one.
It was.
Guess what?
It's Midsomer Maniacs.
It is.
It's a comedy recap podcast dedicated to the ITV series Midsomer Murders. Each week, we dig into the episode of the show, include the murders, the mayhem, the loonies, and everything else we love. I'm Mark Bell.
I'm Sarah Smith Robbins, and today we're talking about the last episode of season 19, episode 6, The Curse of the Ninth.
And if you let your kids write 9 symphonies, well, good on you.
Yeah.
But
I think they'll take care of you in your old age.
Yeah.
If they're successful anyway.
God, I can't even think about writing a single symphony. It's a lot of people to write for.
What qualifies as a symphony? How long does it have to be?
It's big.
Like, it's not like a couple of, it's longer than an album length, right? Longer than an hour?
I gotta
maybe?
think it's,
I should have looked that up.
We should have looked it up.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Somebody will tell us.
Somebody
out there who knows more than we do.
Yes.
We'll tell us.
Which is most of the world.
No, we do research, man.
We do research, but...
you said do. And we know, but we can't do research about everything. I forgot to look up how long a symphony is. This is a great way to start the episode, honey, don't you think?
Fantastic way to start the episode.
Yeah.
Just to let you know off the top, this is a spoiler podcast.
Yeah, we are going to talk about who did it. So if you haven't watched Curse of the Ninth, stop now, go watch, come back. Or we'll ruin it for you. Sorry.
While you're doing that,
I
want you to look at our social media and see the picture of a badger.
Bernie the Badger.
Bernie. I want you to print that picture out and go to your window and take a picture of you and Bernie the Badger.
Or just Bernie in front of some place where you live or whatever and send us the picture with where you live.
And we'll choose 3 of these pictures.
Free swag.
Free swag.
We will send you a gift card for the equivalent value of one of the new Badger's Drift t-shirts.
Which are awesome. And I got to say, selling like the proverbial hot cake.
Because Hillary's awesome.
She is indeed.
It's a great picture.
Yep.
I think Olive now drifts like a badger when she runs around the living room. When she does her zoomies and runs around with her eyeballs like ooga out of her head, it's very Badger Drift.
I got to tell you. It's starting to wear on me that we have a puppy.
It's easier than a baby. You can't put a baby in a crate at the foot of your bed and go to sleep. not get arrested for it.
That is all very true.
Though I have to say, when the triplets were babies, there were times when if I had had a cage, I might have put them just for a minute.
No, they're awesome.
I wouldn't have. They're 20 now, so they're really awesome. I couldn't
fit
them in
them
one
out
of
of their cage all the time now
to go to school and spend money and stuff. Anyway, print it out, take a picture, send it to us.
We got one from Abu Dhabi today.
Yes,
Abu frickin' Dhabi.
It's incredible. It's so fun.
Yeah.
We're going to put them all on a map so you can see where all your fellow maniacs are. Maybe there's another maniac in your town.
In. And we only have a little more than a week.
Yeah.
Right?
What's the deadline? March the 1st?
March the 1st. Tuesday, March the 1st.
That's the deadline.
So you got this episode and next week's episode to remind you. And then you're in the matter of hours at that point in time.
The clock is ticking. And then we'll pick 3 random submissions and get a prize.
Yes, they will indeed get a prize.
All right, you ready to talk about this episode? This crazy episode?
Curse of the Ninth, season 19, episode 6. UK broadcast date is the 20th of May, 2018. Filming October-November 2016. 4.98 million views, directed by Matt Carter and written by Julia Gilbert, who apparently hates Montreal.
This is our last Cam episode. Speaking of Montreal.
Yep.
She goes off to Montreal at the end of the episode, making Winter very sad.
I'm sure she turns into a Habs fan. She's dead to me now.
If you guys don't know this, Mark is a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, which means that the Habs are his arch nemesis.
I'm well aware also that we haven't won a Stanley Cup in my lifetime. I need no reminders.
You know that very well.
I know that very well.
All right, let's dive into this craziness. This is a fun episode.
Yes, so this is an episode in which I think this is like a cleanse episode. They were like, we did Masterclass, and that nobody seemed to like that because it was like icky.
There were like Nazis and incest in that music episode. So let's do another classical music episode.
Let's do another classical music episode.
I mean, it could have been about baseball, I guess.
And we start with Zach.
You just missed that joke.
I did. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Curse of the Ninth.
Oh, yes.
It could have been a ninth inning reference. It could have been a baseball episode.
Could have been a baseball.
But it's not. It's about the Ninth Symphony.
And also, they are not where they play baseball. They play cricket.
I understand that.
Yes.
So tell us about the Curse of the Ninth, because that kind of frames out the whole thing.
The best source of the Curse of the Ninth information that I found was the same one as Winter's.
Wikipedia?
Which is Wikipedia. The first episode that not only references Wikipedia, but actually shows Wikipedia on the screen.
Because there's this whole idea that a lot of famous composers have died after composing their Ninth Symphony.
After it's been played or...
the first time it's performed or something?
Yeah, it's destined to be the composer's last, and they are fated to die while or after writing it and before completing the 10th. That's still a lot of work.
That could be years.
Like, I'm okay with 9.
Yeah.
If I wrote 9 symphonies, I have trouble writing a 2-minute pop song, let alone.
What is it with pop stars, with rock musicians? They
27.
They die when they're 27.
When they're 27.
Yeah.
Janis Joplin and
Hendrix and rich people.
And people like that.
If you managed to write 9 symphonies by the time you're 27, you'd be double cursed.
You would be, especially if there were rock symphonies.
Wow. That's as bad as my baseball joke.
Yeah.
Michael Falconer, who is the head of the music festival that we're at for this episode,
yes,
is just about to have the first performance of his 9th symphony.
Yes. And
he's cursed.
He's a famous guy, but he's only been running this for 4 years.
He's played by James Fleet. Every time I see him, I go, Relishman! Because he played Ralph Plummer in Sauce for the Goose.
The first time I saw him was in 4 Weddings and Funerals.
Well, and you saw Simon Callow in that too,
yes.
who plays Vernon de Hartog in this episode.
Go back and watch 4 Weddings and Funerals.
You'd be like,
realize
they're in A Midsummer, and they're in A Midsummer, and he's in A Midsummer, and she's in A Midsummer.
It is the source of many things.
No.
Just like we mentioned King George last week, and I watched the Madness of King George trailer. Mm-hmm. Wow, that has a lot of people from Midsomer.
Who were later in A Midsummer.
Yeah.
But they're all really young.
And a very young...
Julian Rhind-Tutt?
Yes, Julian Rhind-Tutt. He is...
12.
A boy.
He's like 19 or something.
Something like that. He's very young in it.
All right. And we're in Thassington?
Thassington.
Which sounds like there's something stuck in your teeth when you say it. Thassington.
Do they have Thassington?
No, but they have a pub called the Thassington Arms.
The Thassington Arms. It's an aptly named pub, but a boringly named pub.
Yeah. I mean, it's in Thassington, so I guess it counts.
I guess if you're anywhere in England and there's a village, you can just go, let's go down to the Arms.
And you're probably going to find it.
Probably. Or
the head.
The head.
It's somebody's head. It's somebody's arms.
Yeah.
Other body parts. It's always the pub.
So you think Zach's actually playing piano here?
Yes, I do.
I actually do as well. I'm very interested in when people play instruments and don't play instruments.
I looked into that for this episode to see which of these actors actually play.
Playing an instrument.
Zach Sawandi is played by Matthew Jacobs Morgan, and I looked him up on his agent's website, and one of the things that are listed there is that he is a extremely skilled pianist.
Now, I want to make this clear. I don't think the sound that he's doing is coming through the speakers to you, right?
Coming from that piano. From that piano. But he's actually playing a piece. He knows how to do it.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of other actors in this episode who are actually able to play the music that you hear them playing on violin specifically.
There's one who clearly is not.
Dan Falconer, who is the son of Michael Falconer.
I think he's actually playing.
Yes. He's a violinist.
Yes.
He's played by Joseph Prowan, and he is an accomplished violinist. And then the character Natalie Wheeler
Yes.
who is played by Flora Spencer Longhurst, is also
I also
a
believe
violinist.
she is playing the violin.
Now, she's a less accomplished violinist, but she's learned to play for a few...
She knows how to bow correctly.
Well, she's been in stage productions where she's been required to be able to play
Yeah.
the violin on stage. So
Yeah.
I think she knows enough to be able to play.
Certainly more than me.
However, Simon Callow, who
No.
is Vernon de Hartog in this episode, does not know how to
He
play
does
violin.
not look comfortable with the instrument in any way.
However, Simon Callow is deeply interested in classical music
Oh,
and has
he's-
put out a few albums of classical music on which he does not play.
Okay. Simon Callow, to say the least, is one of the most interesting cats in the world.
Absolutely.
He is a Orson Welles fanatic.
Oh, yes. He's written like scholarly books about Orson Welles.
He is into Orson Welles and all those old movies like Nosferatu and all that stuff. He's really into all that, those sorts of things. Miss Candace Rafferty, she does not have a familiarity with
Rosie
the instrument.
Holden is the
Yes.
actress who plays her, and no, she does not play
They
an instrument.
do everything to hide her hands, possibly, from playing the instrument.
It's funny when you just watch something like this casually, you don't even think about it. You're just like that character is playing, blah, 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 blah. But then when you watch it like a maniac, you're
Yeah.
like, wait a minute. Do we actually ever see her face, the instrument, and her hands in the same shot? No, you don't.
No, you don't. And boy, she has it just below the music stand.
They do a really great job.
Yep.
Now, there's also an incredible group of actual musicians in this episode.
Who get no credit.
They get no
They
credit.
get no credit in the credits. They're not in the IMDb page.
No.
I don't know, like...
If it was like a regional orchestra that played with them
Someone
or
on-
something, I don't know.
I think it was someone on YouTube who said they were one of the Rabbit people from the Rabbit episode.
Yeah.
But these people... Okay, I'm not going to belittle the Rabbit people. They're fantastic.
Yeah, but that doesn't take years of practice.
But they're not the musicians
No.
that these people are.
No, I think these people are an established orchestra playing together, and they've just inserted the actors in among them.
I think so. By the way, I didn't know if you noticed this either, but Michael Falconer, he counts the worst time ever.
Oh, yeah. I mean, James Fleet, great actor, Relish King, doesn't have a lot of rhythm.
I don't believe he has any rhythm at all.
Does have great facial hair, though.
He does. He's great. But like his 1, 2, 3, 4 is like
One,
1, 2, 3, 4.
four,
1,
and
2, 3.
one. Yeah.
It's all over the place.
So we're at the Fastington Festival, and Zach has played piano because they're having a competition as part of the festival to name the musician of the year. Zach's the crowd favorite, but doesn't win because Jacob Wheeler wins.
Now, what is weird to me as an event planner, would you not want the announcement of this big winner on the last night of the festival? Like everybody performs their own little piece. There's some group pieces. They do the weird movie night with Skeezy Dude.
Ivo, he's my favorite in this whole
Ivo
episode.
is so awesome. I love Ivo. Then on the last night, you do a big concert, which is the performance of the 9.
And announce the
then
winner.
you announce the winner instead of on the opening night after one guy plays.
I think they've all played.
Okay.
We're just seeing Zach play because he's the last one to perform. And I think I can justify it by saying that Michael Falconer wouldn't want anything to compete with the performance of his newest symphony. And so, no, he's not going to announce it
I can understand.
on that night.
I can understand.
Plus, I don't know. I mean, I know this used to be a free festival. That's one of the things that
Yes.
comes up. But if they are charging people, they must be charging a lot because there's only like 40 people there.
And there's a lot of brazers. This is another
You're
brazier,
infatuated with brazers.
brazier-filled episode.
Torches with flames. But it's not like they're not sold out. It's just a very small venue. It's like chapel, and
it's
that's
a
it.
super small venue.
Those people
But
must be
there's
paying a good
online
price.
voting. And Jacob wins because of the online voting. We
Yeah.
need a little sound like this whenever we hear that Jacob has hacked something successfully. Because it begins to add up.
Jacob is the world's greatest hacker.
Okay, we'll get to it.
Let's just say that.
Yeah, we'll
And
just say
this,
that. And every time you hear this,
it's
means-
because he's hacked something.
means he's hacked something successfully. Or turn the page if you're watching a Disney,
Yeah.
reading a Disney book.
Yeah, it's a slideshow with Disney book. So the festival is also sponsored by Rafferty's Gin. Okay. So Michael Falconer, this is another one of those with weird families, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Michael Falconer, who is the classical music artiste.
His sister is
Jane Rafferty, right?
Who is married to Hamish.
Rafferty.
All of these people have been in episodes before, by the way.
Yes. And so
if you're over 45 in this episode, you've been in an episode before.
Yes.
If you're anyone else, because you're under 35, you haven't been.
Unless you're part of the regular cast.
Yes.
Unless you're Winter and Cam.
Yes.
Right? Jane and Hamish run Rafferty's Gin, which they can only run because she has borrowed a huge amount of money from her brother, Michael, and not told her husband, Hamish. She told him she inherited it, which, I'm sorry. If I showed up with a whole bunch of money because you and I were just about to start a business and I said, oh, it's an inheritance, wouldn't you say?
From who?
Yeah.
And
why you?
Maybe we shouldn't just spend that. Maybe we should use this. These people, the writers have to use shorthand for things like this, but it's nothing like an actual business work.
No, not at all. Okay. And then they have a daughter.
Yes.
Candace.
Yes.
Okay. Candace is she is dating Jacob Wheeler.
Yes. She is. Everybody seems to be dating Jacob Wheeler.
And Jacob Wheeler is the brother of Natalie Wheeler. See, in my head, I get Candace and Natalie confused.
It's very confusing.
And I'm like, is he dating his cousin?
But you have to remember that Jacob and Natalie are parentless and live in a big house. They're bat people.
Yes. They are Batgirl and Batman.
Yes.
But they play violin.
Yes.
Instead of
They're
fighting
man
crime.
And girl.
Yes. Oh, okay. And then there's Vernon de Hartog, who's not related to anybody.
No.
But is living with Audrey Glenhill, who runs the pub, who is also sleeping with Warwick, who is the father of Zach.
Yes.
Don't worry. You didn't have to follow any of that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
All there.
The concert is a white tie event.
Yes.
Do you know the difference between black tie and white tie other than the color of your bow tie?
I think one is it relate to time of year maybe?
No. That's an interesting guess though. Like no white shoes after Labor Day or something like that?
Yeah.
Which do you think is more formal, black tie or white tie?
White tie, I would go.
Yes. And do you think it's the most formal?
I'm going to go no.
I ask because it's not. And you knew that I wouldn't ask if it was.
Yes.
No, there's a level of dress
above
more
white
formal
tie. So
than
it goes
white tie.
Black tie. Well, really, it goes shorts and a t-shirt, black tie,
white tie,
and then
what do you think is above it?
Red tie.
No.
My tie.
No. It's white tie decorations.
White tie decorations.
Mm-hmm.
That's super fancy.
That is the most fancy you can get. It means that it is white tie required and military or royal medals are also worn.
Oof.
Thereby implying that the majority of the people attending will have
medals
or royal regalia to wear with their white ties.
Wow. Well, I'm sure Elizabeth wears the crown when she goes to those things.
Just to the white tie events.
She'd wear it all the time.
She probably has a casual crown and a dress crown. And then the white tie decorations crown.
Just a wear around the house crown too.
Yeah, well, that's her hat.
Yeah.
So white tie has some pretty hard rules. Like it's not just that you swap out your black bow tie for a white one.
Okay.
There's more requirements than that to actually be proper white tie.
What else?
You need to wear a vest or a waistcoat that is also white.
Okay.
So your shirt and your bow tie are white and your vest is white, right? Your jacket and pants have to be some shade of very dark black. Gray is not okay. It has to be indistinguishable from black. And it has to have a ribbon or braid that runs down the outside seam of your pants.
Of the pants, yeah.
You must have patent black shoes. Okay. This is men, obviously, just for men. And these are only white tie occasions are you allowed to have a top hat, cape, or cane as an accessory.
But can you have all three?
Yeah, you can have all three. But you can't have any of those if it's just black tie.
Okay.
Black tie is semi-formal. Luckily for women, there's really no difference between the two of them.
Yeah,
it's wear a nice dress.
Wear a fancy frock.
Yeah. And generally, if it's white tie, your dress should go below the middle of your calf.
Okay.
But even then, it's not like they'd kick you out.
No.
If it was at your knees, if it was Dior or something, they would let you in.
Again, t-shirt and shorts.
So it's okay to wear white tie to a black tie event, but not the reverse.
Not the reverse.
You can't wear black tie to a white tie event. They won't let you in because you're just not their people. I knew that white tie was fancier. I didn't know there was a level fancier than that.
Yes.
And I didn't know there were so many rules about it other than the white tie. But now you know.
And now we know that Jacob is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Been strangled.
He's dead. He's been strangled with violin wire. What do you think of that?
I don't know if that could happen. Now, I know you could with guitar string because it's metal, right? Though you would probably hurt yourself by doing it because you would have to wrap your hands around it, and it like guitar string would cut into your hand, and a bass string probably the same. But I don't know what those are. Are they made of? I know that some of them are made of nylon.
Well, I have similar problems with it. First, violin strings are not that long. So you don't really have the slack to wrap around your hands if you're going to do it like that and like cross it in the back and pull.
They're not very long at all.
They could be wire though.
They could be?
Yeah, you can. There are metal violin strings. There are also nylon, but the majority of them are still catgut. Okay. Which we'll talk about in a second. Okay. But I don't think they're that long. But if they're that strong, if it's strong enough and it's so fine, like guitar strings are pretty thick, especially when you get down to the lower notes, and bass are even worse. So I think a violin string would garrote you. Yeah. If you can hold on to it that tight and pull it that tightly, I think it would cut into you. I think it would garrote you. He would almost be beheaded, I think.
I think there's a possibility.
And I think you'd need some handles on it. Yeah. Like a garrote has.
Like when they say that an assassin uses piano wire, what they mean is the assassin has a thin wire garrote that has handles on it.
Yeah. And it may be made out of piano wire, but he's got some kind of handle to either twist it around and tighten it, or handles on either end so that he can grab it and really pull it tight.
Because just using plain wire is really difficult.
Yeah, I don't think she could have pulled that off, especially a man of his size. He was strong and tall. I don't think. He's also got some sheet music shoved in his face. Yes. In his mouth.
Deflator mouse. No, I mean.
No. Totten, Weissen, Heifer, Weissen, Totten.
Weissenpfeffer.
Totten. We'll get to that.
Yep.
Can I tell you about catgut real quick?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what catgut is?
I don't believe it's actual cat gut.
No, it's not made from cats.
Yes.
But it is guts.
Oh, it is gut?
Yeah.
What's it made of?
So when you hear that violin strings are made from catgut, harp strings can also be catgut. I did not know that.
Most harp strings these days, though, are metal, I think.
Yeah, but they can be catgut. They're actually made from sheep or cow guts.
Okay.
So where they get catgut is that in the olden days, kit meant fiddle. Okay. So it was kitgut, and then it became catgut. Okay. Right? But it could also be a combination of cattle and gut. Oh. Since a lot of them come from cows. Nowadays, it's mostly goats and sheep. And it's not the whole intestine. It's the inner lining of the intestine. It's the mucosal layer that makes the slime in your guts. It's that layer.
So these are organic. Mm-hmm. How are they preserved? Like they must have resin or something on
Yes,
there.
they do.
Yeah.
That material is almost pure collagen. Yeah. And so when they stretch it and dry it and then they oil it and resin it, it becomes extremely tough. Yeah. But here's something you didn't know. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You've had cat gut in you.
Okay.
If you've ever had sutures that dissolved.
Yep, which I have.
And you got them more than 15 years ago.
Which I have.
They were probably made out of cat gut.
Nice.
They're a less treated cat gut, so they
dissolve.
They break down in your body.
I don't want to think about that. Especially in the region it was in.
So at some point inside you have been parts of sheep or cows that you have now incorporated into you.
Lovely.
Lovely. Then there's this amazing credit montage. Whoever put it together, kudos to you. It's awesome.
Awesome editing job.
If you breezed by it because you don't pay attention to the opening credits,
you need to go back
and watch it again. It's a play on words. It's like pairs of scenes and they're plays on words. They're brilliant.
And it's musical, medical, musical, medical, musical, medical, musical, medical.
Yep.
And they just do such a good job of it. It's
so you
juxtaposition of imagery.
Yes. So you see the body bag being zipped up and then you see the zip on an instrument case.
Yep.
My favorite, though, is the big measuring tape from the toolbox that the medical examiner has, and then measures of music on a music stand. It's so clever.
Those music stands, I tried to find them. They're super nice.
Yeah. They're kind of industrial looking.
They are.
They're
super
weird.
Industrial. I was like, I would like a musical stand like that because I have a little $5 one that falls over if I breathe too hard.
You have the same one that everybody had to use in middle school.
Yeah.
It was such a hassle. Then Cam is back. We see Cam.
Yep.
She's been gone for a few episodes and then she comes back and then she's gone for good. It's weird. I don't know why they did that. Why they couldn't have just had her go before and then had 2 fill-ins for the end of the season. She must have had a commitment or something. I don't know.
Before we get to the scene of the crime, though, we have a scene at the Barnaby's that drives me insane.
Oh, Sarah's got writer's block, Mark.
Oh.
And they've got to role play the scenes from her book.
Okay. I've taught creative writing. I do not believe in writer's block.
I know.
It is a trope that drives me insane.
It's an external locus of control for a writer. It just means you have to think through whatever point of your plot you can't figure out.
Yep.
It's not something you can blame.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
But I do think it's a great idea, if you're writing the kind of thing she's writing, that you test whether or not it's possible. If you're going to say that somebody blocks a doorknob with a broom or a mop, then you better know that it actually works.
Yeah.
I like that.
As with our experiment last week of dropping the
knife off of the deck.
If you're writing a detective novel, which I did, you do have to do some things.
You have to test some things out. You can't just rely on what you think is going to happen.
Yep.
I don't know that they need to have candles lit and stuff, but it is funny when Winter walks in and she's on the stairway screaming. But where is Betty when they're doing that? The dog's barking, she's screaming, and Betty's just sleeping away, I guess.
And there are no Spider-Man prints on the wall.
You're obsessed.
That's all I'm looking for at that point.
Oh, they sold him off to finance this season. I don't know.
I did knock.
Jacob's room is a pit.
It's the clean.
I knew it would bother you. His mattress isn't even set up right. It's like leaning up against the wall and there's just trash everywhere. Oh, it's such a mess.
And then we're going to have to cancel the entire festival. No, we can't.
We can't.
And then the worst sin of this entire episode.
Oh, what's that?
Where's Jacob's violin?
It's gone.
It's a Stradivarius.
Which means it's worth $1 million.
Millions of dollars.
Now, he's been loaned it by the person or consortium who own it.
Which is how it works.
It does work that way. Yep. Musicians are often loaned priceless instruments. They're heavily insured in multiple ways to make sure that nothing bad can happen, but not a guy who's been playing in an local orchestra for 2 years. I'm sorry. No, he doesn't.
Appeared to have disappeared for 10 years.
Yeah. No. He flaked out for 10 years and then came back and gets loaned to Stradivarius. No, but it happens. And it's Totenfear is the name of the music that's in his mouth.
Yes.
By Gustav Mahler.
He was attractive to him.
Until they saw his room and they were like, ugh.
So,
you know why he was attractive? He put that hat on every once in a while.
Yeah.
He had the fedora.
Yep. So Simon and him didn't get along. Simon Cowell and him didn't.
You have to call him Vernon.
Vernon
or De Harthog.
De Harthog. Did not get along.
No.
Now, Simon, who is the actor, eats up scenery every single time.
He's incredible.
There. He's fantastic.
Yeah. He's great at playing an alcoholic, though he is not one.
Nope. Definitely not. If you recall, he was the smoking oversexed doctor in the Small Mercies episode.
Dead Letters.
Dead Letters, episode.
Yes, the smoking oversexed doctor. You're right.
Just fantastic.
In reality, he is a Wells expert and amazing LGBTQ rights activist.
Yeah.
Just does incredible stuff.
Amazing. Just so many good things he does.
But Vernon is wandering around and being drunk, and he says that he doesn't get along with the Dickey Bow Brigade.
The Dickey Bow Brigade.
Do you know what Dickey Bow means?
I have no idea. I didn't know to look it up, but I knew you did, so.
Well, I mean, you assume that it means the bow ties, right?
Yes.
The uppity uppity class.
The upper class.
It's a reference to Cockney rhyming slang that makes no sense to me whatsoever. Are you ready for the ride?
Okay, let's go.
This is how Cockney rhyming slang works. Back in the olden days, when Cockney rhyming slang was being invented, apparently by people who wanted to confuse everybody else.
Yes.
Which they actually did. That's why they did it. The slang for a shirt was Dickey dirt.
Dickey dirt, because shirt, Dickey dirt, get your Dickey dirt.
Right.
Put on your Dickey dirt.
But then a bow tie looks like a bow on a shirt. So if Dickey dirt was a shirt, then a Dickey bow was a bow on a shirt.
Okay. And not
a dirt bow.
Dirt bow.
Or bow dirt.
Bow dirt.
They just dropped the word that rhymes with the actual thing. This is like, okay, so here's an equivalent. If we wanted to come up with slang for shoes.
Yes.
And we said rhythm and blues.
Yes.
That means shoes.
Yes.
Right? And then later we wanted a term for shoestrings.
Yeah.
We called them rhythm strings.
Rhythm strings.
Not blues strings.
No.
Rhythm strings.
Yes.
And then if we wanted to put down people who wear shoes, we'd say, oh, they're rhythm string crews.
Yep. That's how it works.
And that means they wear shoes.
Yes. And you're supposed to understand that somehow.
You have to unpack like 5 levels.
Much like bridge, it is a cruel joke they have given us.
Yes.
To play on the colonists.
I hope they enjoy it.
Yes.
As they should. Candace has stolen Jacob's violin.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So Jacob leaves the concert. He goes outside. He's hanging around in the cemetery. Natalie strangles him with the wire, shoves music in his mouth, and leaves him laying on a big gravestone, right?
Yes.
Then Candace somehow sneaks by, grabs the Stradivarius, which he would never have left behind inside. He would have had it in his hand, right?
No.
So Natalie kills him, tucks music in his mouth, runs away. Candace comes by, grabs the violin, takes it, hides it in her locker. And then Vernon comes by and goes, and I'll have your wallet, right? Because he ends up with his wallet.
I guess.
How else does he get it?
No, he gets it from the safety deposit box.
That's not where he gets that's where he gets his wallet?
I guess.
I thought that's where he got the passport.
Maybe.
Because this is a wallet that has JW on it. It's actually Jacob Wheeler's wallet.
So yeah, that's what happened.
So he picks his pocket.
A lot of people go through this crime scene
I guess so. That's the only way I can explain it.
And Cam doesn't mention that?
I don't know. She doesn't notice.
Devil, I defy thee.
Then we get the first of many scenes where Michael Falconer sees a bird.
A magpie.
Did you know it was a magpie just by looking at it?
No, not by looking at it.
Okay.
I know that they said Devil, I Defy Thee. I knew that song. And that song's called The Magpie. Mm-hmm. So I assumed it was the magpie.
Okay. So you knew the David Dodds song.
Yes.
From the 1960s.
Yes.
All right.
Well, it's a traditional.
Yes.
He didn't write it.
He did.
Oh, he did?
But it's based on the rhyme.
Okay.
He just kind of augmented it.
Okay.
So for those of us who didn't know that.
Yes.
And didn't know what Devil I Defy Thee was a reference to or what that bird was.
Yes.
We had to Google it.
Yeah.
So we Googled it.
That's a very good magpie, though.
This is the royal we.
Stays like in place and does a good job.
I didn't know it was magpie.
He doesn't make the crow sound. The crows are so good on camera.
So it's a reference to a folk rhyme that's about a superstition about ravens or magpies.
Yes.
And when you see them, the number of them together is portentous. So you have to count them.
Yes.
To find out what it means.
I did not know that.
That's the superstition. So the old rhyme goes, 1 for sorrow, 2 for mirth, 3 for a funeral, 4 for birth, 5 for heaven, 6 for hell, 7 for the devil, his own self. That's the original.
Yeah.
And then the version from the song, 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy, 5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret never told, devil, devil, I defy thee.
We only ever see one.
In both cases, 1 is bad luck.
Yep.
2 are better. You want to see 2. But Michael keeps seeing 1.
Just
now,
1.
Let me tell you something about this song.
Okay.
This song that you knew that I didn't know, that I'd never heard of, whatever. The reason why David Dodds wrote it, David Dodds, the musician who's famous for first recording this folk song based on the magpie. Do you know why he wrote it?
No.
Because he'd never heard it either. Ha-ha! 50, 60 years ago when he heard it.
Yes.
He gave an old lady a ride
in
a village, and he happened to be driving a brand new car. I think it was a Mercedes.
Okay.
And every time she saw a magpie, she spit on the floor of his car and said, "Devil, devil, I defy thee." And then would go on with conversation. And if she saw another one, she'd go, "Patooey, devil, devil, I defy thee." And then talk to him some more.
Excuse me?
His brand new car.
While I apply the brakes.
This old lady
and
kept
kick you out of my car.
hockering on the floor of his car. Needless to say, he didn't forget it.
No.
And so it inspired
I don't think
him
I'll ever forget it.
to look into it. And he wound up writing a song about it. It's just one more reason not to pick up old ladies in villages because they might spit on the floor of your car. All I know is she's got a fast eye if she can pick a bird out from a tree or whatever.
This is a multi-million-dollar instrument. I'm going to leave it on my bed while I go shower.
Well, what is she supposed to do? Take it in the bathroom with her?
I don't know.
I mean,
Put
she
it
should
in
at
a
least
safe or
hide it. Maybe not play it in front of a window.
Yes.
Oh, Candace, just because your mom and dad make gin doesn't mean you have to act stupid.
Now, I want to say a couple of things about the gin they make. First of all, the label is beautiful.
Yes, it is.
It is.
All the branding for Rafferty gin is very well done.
Original. It's all really well done.
Mm-hmm.
They do a very good job. Absinthe was indeed illegal at this point, I think.
Well, yeah, because it was infused with wormwood.
Yes.
For a while, you could buy absinthe that wasn't real absinthe. It was
All
green.
alcohol is poisonous.
True.
This is, Hamish is the nicest guy in the episode until he tries to burn everything down. And he does that in a nice guy kind of way.
For a good reason.
Yeah, well, not a good reason.
Well, because they're broke.
Yeah.
And he thinks it's the only way they're going to stay afloat.
Yes.
Is by sacrificing his own business.
Yes, and he almost kills 2 young women.
He does. Hamish, played by Robert Dawes, who you will recognize as Mike Spicer from Hidden Depths, who died with a TV on his head.
TV on his head. Fantastic death.
Can we please talk about Ivo now?
Yes.
He's my favorite thing in the whole episode.
Ivo was fantastic.
They go to Strings,
Yes.
which is the musical instrument and repair shop store run by Ivo Baxter.
Yes.
Who is the musical equivalent of Dennis Rainbird. I'm sorry. He and Dennis would get along super well.
Classical music is my obsession.
And he doesn't say obsession. He says obsession. And he's got like every Michael Falconer poster behind him. And he keeps looking at them like,
So he has horror and black and white behind him. He has Symphony No. 9, but there's a big X on it, which is 10.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I'm not sure why. He is
well, if it has an I next to it, that would be 9.
Yes. And
Roman numerals and stuff.
I didn't notice that.
You missed that. You missed the red I.
And he has 2 other posters that I couldn't see.
They're all Michael Falconer.
All Michael.
And again, whoever did the visuals for this did a really good job, because the Michael Falconer poster for the 9th is like this most dramatic black and white close up of his face with his beautiful beard.
Yes.
Looking all dramatic. Like, that's plumber relish to you. You know, I mean, he's like super serious.
And then we get the second best character in String.
Marjorie, the kitty cat. It's the only person he really knows. And he, throughout the episode, whenever you see him wearing his little brown work coat, he has a button that has Marjorie's photo on it. It's so funny.
Oh.
And he has a vlog. That's a video blog.
Okay. Best vlog ever.
It's notes on Fassington. Get it? Notes.
Yeah. So
he makes the notes joke 3 times.
So Winters looks at it. Oh boy, I had a time. The pages behind the vlog, the background of the vlog,
the wallpaper,
are of a hymn entitled God is Great. It's hymn number 87, written in 1854 by Thomas C. Gray. Yeah, it's a big popular one with Mormons.
I would absolutely watch Ivo's videos. I would watch every one of them.
Single one of them.
Did you check the URL for it?
No, I didn't check the URL.
Did you check notes on Fassington? Did you Google it?
So no, I didn't check notes on Fassington.
Notes from Fassington.
But I did check that Curse of the Ninth book is not real.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when Winter goes to the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Now, the Wikipedia page that exists now
is different. That's why wikis
different.
are wikis, right? It's been edited since.
But I went to the Wikipedia page that was on the site during the filming, and it is indeed that page.
If you didn't know, if you're not familiar with the way Wikipedia and other wikis work,
Yeah.
because they can be edited by anybody, they have a lot of versioning control.
Yes.
And so you can rewind the page back to a date
Yes.
to see how it, what the content was on a certain date without changing the page at all for anybody else. You're just seeing a previous version of it, which is kind of a fun thing to do, especially when something big happens.
Yep.
To see like
how it changed over time.
Yeah. Like, here's a kooky example based on a podcast I've been listening to recently. Go look at Jimmy Savile's Wikipedia page from 10 years ago versus now.
Yeah. Woo, doggy.
The view of him has changed.
Yes. So,
So Ivo is played by Colin Michael Carmichael.
Okay.
He's been in some other stuff. I can't say anything is as good as this character. He's
so good.
He's great. Oh, and he's gonna host a silent movie night too.
Yes.
As part of the festival, which is just something to look forward to. You just can't wait till it happens.
He's very excited about it.
Michael's going to call in his loan. So now Jane and Hamish are in money trouble. And that's why Hamish winds up trying to blow up the distillery.
Yes.
But Michael is bad.
Well, he also uses a pool table to write his music on. And since we record on a pool table, I wanted to make note of that.
I also noted that. Because you're constantly trying to get rid of the pool table that I use as a desk and we also record on because you hate it so much. And I was like, look, Michael Falconer uses a pool table as a desk and it works just fine for him.
But he's not using a microphone.
As it does for me. Just saying. But
a little eye into our world.
He threatens to tell Hamish about the loan, which, okay, that shouldn't be a secret from him anyway.
No.
But he threatens to kick their daughter out of the orchestra if she doesn't pay it back. That's not a very uncle-y thing to do.
He's stupidly mean. And luckily not superstitious. Wait a minute, there's another magpie.
It's sitting out the window going, oh, are you not superstitious about me?
Superstitious?
Just lonely little me?
Yes.
I have no friends. I'm like, Ivo, I'm just sitting out here. Little old me.
Candace does the absolute right thing and tells Hamish about the loan right away, ending any blackmail possibility. She does.
Not Candace, Jane.
So, yes, Jane does the right thing.
Yes.
Janie does.
They seem to have a good relationship.
They absolutely, and if he wasn't an arsonist, it would be better.
Yes.
But yes, they do some nice design work.
Janie Rafferty, who you might recognize, played by Caroline Langrish, who was also Susan Fincher in Blood on the Saddle, but more importantly, Charlotte in Lovejoy.
Yes, Charlotte in Lovejoy.
But then Candace, their daughter,
yes,
has left fingerprints.
Yes.
Gilded, piney fingerprints, apparently, everywhere, from the awesome gold-flecked rosin that Jacob used on his bow. Hey, I thought it was over the top too until I looked and saw like 10 brands of bow rosin that have gold flake in them.
Okay.
I don't know why they have it, but they do.
By the way, Ivo should know how to play instruments.
He should know it a little.
Yeah.
At least a little. Or he wouldn't be able to fix them.
If I went into the stringed instrument shop that's in Bloomington, you might think it's weird that there's a stringed instrument shop in Bloomington like this, but we have Jacob's School, which is the second best music school in the country after Juilliard.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So we have all kinds of music stores in Bloomington.
All kinds of music
very niche
stores.
ones.
And we have a guy who does nothing but violins and cellos and stuff like that.
And he can play.
And he would, if he said, I can't play that instrument, I would leave.
Yeah. I would say, well, then you can't repair it.
Yes.
Either. So Candace is leaving these gilded, piney fingerprints all over the place. So they know that she swapped her violin out and took Jacobs' home.
Yes.
Now, Jacobs, we've already talked about why he wouldn't have a Stradivarius in reality.
Yes.
What he really wouldn't have is a case for it with his initials on it.
Or any ability to play that instrument in any way. Like, they are notoriously difficult to play on top of it.
Yes.
Maybe he hacked it.
I don't think that would work on a violin.
No, I don't think so either.
But Candace takes it home, takes a shower, and then Ivo slips in her place.
Yes.
Because she plays it in front of the window and goes, I'm the one. I'm making a violin motion here with my hands.
Yes, you are.
I'm the one who stole the Stradivarius. Now I'm going to leave it on my bed, take a shower. And he goes in.
And Ivo's like,
I'll take that. Thank you.
I'm going to steal that.
Mm-hmm. I can't play it, but I'm going to take it. And I'm going to ruin it.
He's going to destroy that instrument. Oh my gosh.
It hurts, doesn't it?
I may have squeaked a little bit when he
puts varnish on it to try to hide it.
The fact that he touches it with nothing other than his bare hands ruins that instrument.
You're like,
immediately.
Ivo, gloves, now.
Yes.
And then he just paints some varnish on it. You're like, no.
Through like a really bad old crackety.
With an old chip brush from a jar.
Yeah.
If you think you feel bad, imagine how real violin people who saw this felt.
This rehearsal room brought to you by the Uffington White Horse.
Yes. And lots of secondhand couches.
Why?
I love that they're there. And it's for the audience later.
And then they rehearse later on in a different room.
Well, sometimes they rehearse in the rehearsal room and sometimes they rehearse in the venue where they're going to play, which I assume that chapel is also on Michael's estate.
I would assume so. Though we never see Michael at home except for by the pool table.
Yep.
Hassenpfeffer is missing from the musical library. Tottenfear.
Mm-hmm. Which he apparently has a whole like library checkout system for because it's not signed out.
I would assume that people would do that, I guess.
I think that Zach and his dad Warwick are just red herrings.
Yes.
They're a side plot that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, it is people of color used as red herrings, episode 2.
And really, Audrey is kind of unnecessary too.
She is, though I love that actress.
She's Maggie O'Neill. You remember her from Straw Woman.
Yeah.
She played Agnes Waterhouse. So Audrey is having a relationship with both DeHarthog and Warwick.
Yes.
Though we don't really know why any of that. And then we find out that Jane had a fling with Jacob.
Yeah.
Who's like the same age as her child, which is weird.
It's convenient to you that Jacob was murdered. Yeah, because I was grossed out by it.
Because maybe you should have never gone anywhere near him.
The Sathingham Youth Camp.
Bassington.
They do a good job of having missing letters on the sign.
That's not hard.
I know.
You just knock them off. All right, let's talk about the movie festival, the movie night.
Okay.
Because the movie night's awesome too.
The movie night is fantastic.
It's the Terror of Amenhotep.
The Terror of Amenhotep.
Which is a silent film featuring the worst mummy costume ever.
Yes, we'll put a picture of that in the show notes. I was just like, that's not a mummy. And mummies don't... Okay. The mummy has never appeared in a graveyard.
No, why would he?
Why would he? Museum? Yeah.
Yes.
He does wander around the moors in certain mummy movies.
Yes.
Okay, but never in a graveyard.
No.
No.
And mummy doesn't need eye holes and a mouth hole cut in his wrappings.
The monster awakened.
The mummy costume in the movie is bad, but the costumes of the movie goers are awesome.
Fantastic.
We got Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes.
But my favorite is Nosferatu. Yes. He slips through really quickly. He's awesome.
The only one who makes the
credits is Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster.
There's a couple of ghosts. There's Frankenstein's monster. There's Bride of Frankenstein, my personal favorite, and a very good Nosferatu.
Yeah. But I mean, then there's Ivo, in his cape and everything.
No.
With his big projector.
Then there is Let's Slag Off Canada.
You're so sensitive. Montreal is -50 and the same temperature as the surface of Mars, and there's bears everywhere. You don't like Montreal?
And
you can let it go.
Really? That's yes, no, maybe.
Mars is much colder than that.
Yes.
Otherwise, completely accurate.
Yes. My brother, who doesn't live in Montreal, he lives in the north of Ontario, has had to cancel golf games because there are bears.
He's had to call into work because of a bear in his front yard.
Yes.
So he couldn't leave his house. So now we've got another concert.
But Vernon doesn't do well at the concert.
He dies.
He dies.
He dies because somebody put strychnine on the strings and the bow of his viola. And when he plays, he inhales it and then just starts to bleed from every orifice on his head and collapses.
Yeah.
It's a bad way to die.
He does a good dead body, though. In the morgue, too, he's a good dead body.
So strychnine is made from the Strychnos ignati plant, of which there are 53 species.
Okay.
Luckily, none of them grow here. That's good. The beans are called the St. Ignatius bean. People call them that. I could not figure out why you would call something that is only poisonous after a saint, but that's what they call it.
Yeah.
And Hamish claims that he grinds them up to make a mold retardant.
Yeah.
Which I could not find any use of strychnine for molds. However, you can make strychnine from the beans. It's not difficult. And even the roots are used to tip poisonous arrows with.
Oh.
And curare, which is another incredibly bad poison, comes from the same kind of plant.
Oh, lovely.
But he just grows it.
Yeah.
You know.
His little greenhouse.
For the mold.
Along with his wormwood.
That's the only reason he grows it?
I guess.
Is for the mold?
Yes.
Otherwise, why?
How much mold does it have?
And when you've got a mold problem, the first thought isn't, I'll grow a plant that when it matures, I can pick the beans and grind them up when I have enough.
Perhaps
and it will make this liquid.
With some
and
bleach.
then I can spray the mold with it. Like you can go and just get some Clorox and solve it right now and not have to wait 5 years until these plants mature to do that. Never mind that, like, wouldn't somebody go, hey, why are you growing strychnine in here next to the lavender and the mint and whatever else you're growing?
It's to flavor the gin.
No. Do you know, I once grew castor plants.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were beautiful.
Yep.
Now, if you don't know, from the name, castor oil comes from castor plants too.
Yeah.
But so does ricin.
Yes.
The poison. And it comes from the bean pods, right?
Yes.
So neighbors got all uppity with me. Why are you growing castor plants? You know, they'll kill everything. Like, if you eat it, don't eat it, okay? So I kind of defend Hamish a little bit, maybe. Yep. But I don't think it's a good mold plan, necessarily. They're just all kinds of bad. What do you make of the whole Dan wants to be lead violinist thing?
Okay.
Do you care?
I understand that there is competition in music schools.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And on orchestras.
Right. Being first chair matters. And in a professional orchestra, it matters because your paycheck is different.
It means you are meant for different parts.
Mm-hmm.
And it means you have more money and more responsibility.
Yeah.
It's not a thing that you can play musical chairs with.
No.
Like
because there are unions that prevent that kind of stuff from happening. Which is what Vernon tries to bring up before he bleeds out from his head.
A second or third violinist.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say these people know their place, but they're all trained differently.
And they're all the best of the best, or they wouldn't be there anyway.
Like, you're trained to be a second chair violinist, and if you're not on the second chair of that orchestra, you don't go to that orchestra.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you don't go, oh, well, I'll be... It's like...
I'll start at fourth and work my way up.
It's like rhythm guitarist and lead guitarist.
Yeah.
Right?
You have different roles to play.
You have different roles to play.
Now, when the first chair leaves or drops dead or gets garroted by his sister.
Sister-ish.
Not sister. Maybe there's competition for who gets to move up in an orchestra that can't just hire in a new first chair.
So I knew that she was the killer, but I was a little worried that he had tried to get it on with her.
Oh.
Because it's Midsomer.
But that would make it as bad as the other classical music episode. So glad that didn't happen. Yes. So Natalie gets made first chair. So Dan is upset about it. But then Michael's going to change his mind. And I don't know. And I don't really care. It's really more important that he's Michael's son. That's what matters. And that he treats him differently because he's his son. And Michael's a jerk.
Yep.
Right. Then we find out all this stuff about Vernon gathering information about Jacob, right? We find out he had his wallet, that he had this card that's a key card. I'd never seen a key card for a safety deposit box, but it makes sense that they would have those now.
Yep.
Because the keys are so easy to lose and stuff, right? We get closed circuit footage of him in the bank, and he opens the box and he finds a passport, and we don't know what it says.
Not that they would ever have closed circuit footage of what is in
no, that's so private. You never film
the
inside of a a security bank box vault. No. They usually escort you to a private room outside of that room with the box, put it down, lock the door behind them, and then you knock when you want to come out.
That's part of the bank's service.
Yeah, is the privacy, the discretion of the safety deposit boxes.
All of that is wonderful, and I was interested in it. But I spent 10 minutes with rewinding and playing a part over and over again and trying to turn on the subtitles and try to figure out what Warwick says to Zach about spag.
He says, do you want some spag ball, which is spaghetti bolognese?
Okay, spag bowl. I was like, what kind of spag? I knew the spag was spaghetti.
Spag ball.
But I'm like, spagno? Like Napolitano?
And then he says, like, I'll let you beat me at FIFA or something. You're like, spag ball? Is that a kind of soccer? Is that football?
No,
spag ball?
I knew what spag was, but I didn't know what the ball was. I thought it was no. So I'm like looking up spaghetti Napolitan, and there's like no such thing.
I'm sorry you struggled. And if you just asked me, I would have told you.
What is that?
Spaghetti and meat sauce.
I'm off to Amsterdam to get drugs. I mean, play in a band.
Hey, Zach's in a band.
Zach's in a band.
Good for him.
You know what the name of the band is?
Red Herrings.
Red Herrings. Zach and the Red Herrings.
I just love that you can book us a direct ticket from Coston to Amsterdam.
Well, you know.
On whatever. I think it's a train ticket, I guess.
Yes.
Maybe it's a boat. I
I'm
don't know.
staying away from infrastructure.
You're just going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Then Natalie has to be rescued by Candace at the distillery because Hamish is trying to blow the place up.
Like, it's a needlessly complicated detail that makes me confused because I know Natalie's the killer. I'm like, is she killing herself here?
Mm-hmm.
And then,
or if she had died there, would they have ever found out who killed Jacob and Vernon?
I don't know. They both get over being gassed super quick.
Yeah.
Like way too quick.
All right. I think the time has come for us to talk about who Jacob really was because we get to talk about the medals and all that good stuff.
Yes.
Jacob and Natalie are brother and sister.
Yes.
But when they were 13 and 15,
yes,
they went to music camp.
Well, they went to camp.
A block away.
Yes.
From where they live, apparently. And he got upset and left.
Because he tried to steal Audrey's cigarettes.
Yes. The pub owner.
Yes.
And he got on a bus and left and didn't come back for 10 years.
And he only met up with Natalie in Dublin after her parents had died.
Mm-hmm. When she just happened to be there playing violin and he was there in another orchestra.
Yes.
And then they saw each other and she was like, you're my brother. He's like, you're my sister.
Yes.
And he's like, look, I got the birthmark. I got the necklace. She's like, you have the birthmark. You have the necklace. You must really be him.
Yes.
Not.
The question I have, it's unfortunate, but Natalie's parents are killed simply so they won't recognize.
Yes. You're right. Like, how can he come back and be an imposter pretending to be Jacob and nobody know that it's not him? So, A, the parents have to be dead. Sorry, mom and dad. You're dead.
They gotta go.
B, Natalie has to be stupid.
Okay.
At least she's not blind or something like from the accident. That would make it worse.
Stupid. She's just so stupid.
Now, I know you change a lot between like 15 and 25, but not that much. If he had been an infant when he ran away.
After stealing cigarettes.
If the 3-year-old Jacob had been like, I got your cigarettes, and then jumped a bus and then came back when he was 23. Okay, maybe you don't recognize him. You're like, oh, you got the same birthmark and you're still wearing the same bling. That's you, baby Jacob. But he was like 15.
And why doesn't Dan go, what?
I killed you.
Like if I was
not back
Dan
from the dead.
If I was Dan, who is Natalie's boyfriend, and she says, my brother's back, I would go, what?
Yeah. Yeah. She comes back from Dublin with a zombie. Dan would be like, holy moly.
And I would at least be pulling him aside going,
I know that you're not.
You're not him.
He doesn't have to say, because I killed you.
No,
he can just say, I know you're not him.
I remember what he looks like because we had pictures.
And he bullied me. So I know what he looked like.
Yep.
I remember his face because he beat me up a lot.
Yeah.
and you're not him.
Yeah.
So what are you doing here, dude?
Yeah.
And what are you doing with Natalie and
But-
taking advantage of her because she's my girlfriend?
But Dan doesn't say a word. He is either the biggest coward or so stupid. It's not funny.
I can only think it's because he's a coward.
I can only think that.
Because he's not dumb.
No.
He can play violin really well. Jacob is an imposter. He's got a birthmark that Jacob had because he got a tattoo of a birthmark.
Yes. Who did that tattoo job?
Somebody who doesn't ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
They just said, he walked in and goes, hey, I need like a red kind of like a blobby thing right here. You want a what? Like a blob.
And from what I know of tattoo artists, no tattoo artist would do that.
Oh, I don't know. I think they would if you
I
said,
don't know.
you know what? My best friend had a birthmark right here and he died and I want to remember him. Or my twin brother had a birthmark right here and he died. And
Maybe.
I think you could come up with the story. Needless to say, if you Google birthmarks and tattoos, it's always the other way around. People
Yes.
are always getting tattoos to make birthmarks look like other things.
Yes.
Not getting birthmarks tattooed.
Yes.
Now, there are some tattoos that look like birthmarks because they're really bad,
Yes.
but not on purpose.
No.
Okay.
No.
How? All right. So
Okay. How does he learn how to play the violin? Because that's not something you just wing up.
okay, you better get your hack sound out.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about how Jacob pulls this off.
Okay.
How Leon becomes Jacob.
Yeah.
All right. So he's this random guy in his 20s
Yep.
who has been to jail because he hacked his girlfriend's computer and stole the money from her bank account. Right? Then he gets out of jail and he thinks, I still have my hacking abilities. What can I do to make more money? I know. I'll study my ass off to learn how to play violin. So I know I'm already like a really good hacker, but I'm going to learn how to play violin at like virtuoso level.
Yes. Award-winning level.
Not just any old level, but like amazing levels.
Yeah.
Because I read a news story about this man and woman who died in a car accident and left behind their kids, and the son just happened to run off. And he was older than 3, but he took off anyway. And nobody will recognize him.
Is the longest con. And how much money are we talking about here? Because
I mean, even if it's millions, how many hacks could he have performed in the meantime that would have made him more money? Okay. Because that's not all he has to do. All right.
I know.
So not only does he hacks his girlfriend's bank account and goes to jail for that. He comes back out. Then, in order to pretend to be Jacob, he has to go through a DNA test with the lawyers.
Yes.
And he pulls that off by hacking their system to replace the results to say that he is Jacob.
Yes.
Right? Then he has a thumb drive with Michael Falconer's medical records on it, proving that he's going deaf and is about to have some experimental surgery.
So
how does he get those medical records?
He's hacked the NHS.
How does he know that Jacob had a birthmark as a baby, as a child?
More NHS hacking.
He must have hacked his birth records, medical records. Then he also hacks the voting system for the festival to make sure that he wins the prize. So there is 6.
At least 6. And you never see him anywhere near a computer, and there's none in his room.
No. Now, hacking the voting for the festival, I'm not real impressed by.
No, I bet you he made the website.
Probably.
Yeah.
Or they didn't reset the password on their Squarespace site or whatever.
I'm a hacker. I know how to do that.
Yeah.
This episode not brought to you by Squarespace.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I'm not impressed by that. But medical records, insurance companies, legal systems, bank accounts. This guy doesn't need to be pretending to be a violinist to make money.
Well, he also hacks Natalie's personal computer to find out details about him, because that's how he knows all the details about Jacob.
When does he do that? Before they meet?
Yeah.
How does he do that? Dude should be working for the NSA.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not playing for the Faffington Orchestra.
Faffington. Meanwhile, Warwick and Audrey have stole a bunch of booze. Oh, who cares?
Who cares?
I'm just going to wander around in the forest here and find a dead body.
You want to talk about tunnels?
Yes.
I have a problem with tunnels.
Okay.
Before they go down in the tunnels, though,
What are those tunnels for? Why would
No,
they build?
I explain that. I can
Okay.
explain that,
Okay.
actually. Audrey says something awesome
Okay.
when she explains that they moved the camp away from the site because they couldn't keep the kids out of the tunnels.
Yeah.
Where did they move it to?
Badger's Drift.
Badger's Drift.
Yeah.
Because that's a much safer place to have the camp,
Yeah.
you know, where people aren't killing each other all the time and it's not raining Vickers.
Yes.
It's great. That's the place you want to go.
Best place to live in England.
Would you send your kids to a camp in Badger's Drift?
No.
I wouldn't. No way.
No.
Not even if they
We
were
need-
3-year-old cigarette stealers. There's no way.
We need a sleepaway camp, Badger's Drift camp crossover here.
Now, the reason I think there are lots of tunnels, here's why I'll tell you. Because I think the Falconer estate is a big estate. I think it's a fancy place.
Okay.
And it was pretty common in the olden days when they were doing things like
Water systems. and
water
things.
systems, like building big fountains for follies and stuff like that. They would actually have tunnel systems where they would run those pipes through.
Okay.
They had to be big enough for people to walk in or,
Yeah.
for, little people, the under people to bend over and crawl in or whatever. The other reason why I think they might be there is that it was pretty common for outbuildings and the big house to be connected via tunnels. So the kitchens would actually be in another building outside of the manor. And that's where the food would be made. And then it would be brought through the tunnels into the main house. Those would be bigger tunnels, obviously. But I don't think it's uncommon for large estates to have tunnels.
I'll just put a big rock over it. Winters will never find it.
I don't know how he finds it. I don't know why he finds that particular
I don't know
entrance.
either. He's got his spidey sense on.
And then, you'd think Audrey says they're not safe. They're collapsing all the time. So what do? They just send Cam down there without a hard hat or anything. Just go down there, Cam. You're disposable because you're leaving anyway. Go on.
And she finds the skeleton with the metal
Yes.
glinting in the light.
Because Leon has come back with a fake version of it.
Yeah.
Now, how he found out what was on the metal, the front and the back, like you couldn't do that from a photo.
He must have hacked it.
He hacked the metal. He hacked Natalie's neck.
Yes.
Maybe he could find 2 photos of her where it was facing both directions.
Maybe.
And did it from that. I don't know, but he's got it. And the real one is around the skeleton of the real Jacob Wheeler, who was killed by Dan by accident.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even mean to kill him, but I
No.
can understand why a 13-year-old who's been bullied might not tell anybody.
Yeah.
I saw him get on a bus.
Yeah.
But Dan, he was only 4.
Yeah.
I saw him get on the bus. He's like 15 or something.
Yeah.
So when Dan realizes that he's going to get caught,
He goes to tell Natalie. But Natalie has a bigger secret than Dan does.
he's like, I'm sorry. I killed your brother on accident. She's like, oh, yeah? I killed him too.
It's the worst version of one-upmanship ever.
Yeah.
I killed 2 people.
Yeah, you couldn't have killed him because I killed him. I killed the real one. Well, I killed the fake one. Well, I killed somebody else too. Yeah, poor Dan is like, oh no, this is the worst thing that could ever happen. And then Natalie's like, no, it's not.
No.
I've done worse than that.
Natalie's acting in the last scene is the best acting in the episode.
She does a great job.
She does.
Yeah, she's really
job.
good. I mean, she's no Ivo, but she's
No.
okay. He's my favorite. Did you see?
I love how Ivo is just completely forgotten.
I know, but he's so awesome when he's there. Did you see the clockwork gear mechanism that's behind Natalie and Dan when they're in the bell ringing chamber?
Yes, but I didn't know what it was.
It's a clock.
Oh, okay.
So if you have some kind of automated bell ringing doodad
you
for
need
the
a clock.
you need a clock.
Yeah.
And I know it doesn't look like a clock. It looks like a big steampunky gear mess.
Yeah.
But it looks just like the clock that's in Salisbury Cathedral.
Oh, okay.
It's a smaller version, but it would have been attached to just one bell that would be used to like do the time, and that's it.
Yeah.
All the ropes you see, those are for the actual bells.
Those are for the 7 bells.
And that's way more bells than that little tiny chapel would have, I would think.
Well, yeah. But it's England.
Yeah.
The bell
Well,
ringer.
Michael probably had them all installed because,
Yes.
he's fancy.
Stay away from the bears.
I don't know why Natalie just didn't expose Jacob. Once she knew that he was not really him, why didn't she just expose him?
I don't know why Dan didn't expose Jacob.
Yeah. Like, we're just going to have you DNA tested again
Yeah.
by 2 different companies.
Like,
Hack all that.
and
Jacob.
Yes, he's
Leon.
he's a coward, but like Dan could have been like, I don't know, you should check. a few other things.
He doesn't have to say that he knows what happened to him to know that that's not him.
Yeah.
You just say you're an imposter.
He doesn't look like him.
You don't look like him. You are not him. I knew him and you are not him.
Yeah.
Then once Natalie confesses, she says she wants to see him.
Yeah.
So they let her go down in the tunnel.
I'm like, she says, can I go see him? And then she's getting in a police car. And I'm like, maybe not. And then they take her down the tunnel. And I'm like, well, maybe they are.
Then they leave her down there alone.
They would never do that. They would be like, no, you're a homicidal maniac.
Barnaby and Winter might feel for her.
Yes.
Because she's just found out what actually happened to her brother.
Yes.
They would cuff her, take her down there, let her see it, and like 3 uniformed officers would be with her because she could just take off down the tunnel.
And everyone would be in hard hats.
Yes, everybody. I can't believe they just leave her down there to stand there alone. Anyway, then Sarah's got a publisher for her book because, Mark, that's all you have to do to publish a book. If you're a first-time author who's never written anything before, you can put 3 chapters of an unfinished book up on a website and a publisher will contact you.
Good God almighty. They know the buttons to press with me.
I knew that was going to irritate you when I saw it again. I
just was like,
ooh, Mark's going to be mad.
I was just like, if only they had another dig at Canada. Oh, wait, they did. I'm surprised she didn't take a dog sled from the airport. Oh.
Best corpse?
Oh, hold on.
Okay.
It is important for everyone to realize that giving toys that make noise is a tradition, should be honored all the time.
Always.
Always give toys that make noise.
Especially to only children.
Yes. I can.
They need all the loud toys they can have.
I cannot wait until we have children again that we can give toys to.
Until we have grandchildren?
Yes.
All right. Best corpse? Nice corpse.
I'm going to say Vernon, just because he's such a great actor and he does a great corpse.
Werner.
Yeah.
The Heart Hog.
Werner, the Heart Hog.
I'm going to say Jacob Wheeler.
Okay.
But the real Jacob Wheeler.
Ooh.
Because he's a skeleton.
He's a skeleton.
That's a better corpse.
Yeah.
Because he's actually dead.
Yes.
After the credits?
Ivo. Is Ivo going up the pokey?
No.
I don't know. The people who own that Stradivarius have something to say to him.
Yes, but a whole lot of people screwed up long before it got into his hands.
Yes.
He stole it from somebody who stole it from somebody who stole it because they were pretending to be somebody they weren't.
Yes.
So whoever vetted Jacob and said that he was okay to have it is probably in some pretty hot water.
Is Hamish going up the mountain for insurance fraud?
Attempted.
That's
probably going to be a misdemeanor.
Yeah, it's probably. Michael does his 9th. Everybody loves it. Goes deaf and doesn't make any more music and is a sad man.
Or goes on to become a plastic surgeon in Death in Paradise.
Yes,
Or goes back to making relish.
Yes, another thing he does.
Zach goes off to be famous in a big band, rock and roll band.
Yep.
And his dad gets used to it.
Yes.
And accepts that his son is now a millionaire.
And him and Audrey are cool.
Yeah, I think Audrey's okay.
Candace she probably gets in a little trouble for stealing the Stradivarius.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it.
In the midst of all that other stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about Dan?
Dan's got to go up the pokey.
Really? It was an accident. He was a kid.
He needs to at least go through the process.
He will go through the process, but I think he'll be acquitted.
Or he'll appeal, or he'll plead guilty to manslaughter or something like that.
But it's accidental.
Yeah.
And they were kids.
Yeah.
So I think he's okay.
Natalie, up the pokey.
Up the pokey? Why are you saying up the river or to the pokey? Not up the pokey. That's something completely different. And I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, she goes up the river.
Why?
Because she killed 2 people.
Right. Okay. I get her and Candace confused. And of course, Janie's fine.
Yeah, Janie's fine.
So is the distillery going to stay in business?
I think it has at least a good shot.
Maybe. Maybe if Michael says, you don't have to pay back the loan, it's okay.
Maybe.
Not right now.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Michael doesn't need the money now.
Why not? If he bases his whole career on this festival every year, if that's what keeps him afloat, he's in trouble.
I guess.
Because I don't think it's happening again since multiple people were killed at this one. Maybe
Never mind the fact that he needs an entire team of people to run it. But
maybe he'll go on the talk show circuit saying, I survived my 9th symphony. I'm famous now.
Maybe.
Or maybe he'll just hurry up and write a 10th one.
Yes.
To prove that he survived it.
Maybe.
Maybe the magpie will attack him and peck out his eyes.
Maybe.
So he'll be deaf and blind.
Yes. And that
is Curse of the Nine.
Curse of the Nine. You got a horrible movie for me?
I do. I'm glad you mentioned it because
excellent.
Boy, is it a good one. Well, it's a really horrible one. It's right next to my big list of Leon Hunt hacks.
Yes.
All right. Horrible movie. I bet Mark's seen it.
Okay.
This movie is terrible. Ha! I bet Mark's seen it.
This is a 1995 movie.
Okay.
And Cyril Neary, who plays Warwick Sawandi, is in it.
Okay.
Okay. He's Zach's dad in this episode. I'll tell you the tagline first.
Okay. A
tale of kidnapping, computer fraud, and Morris miners.
Okay.
A young American computer hackeress. Female hackeress is hired by a liberal British lawyer to right the wrong done to a third world country by a London investment company. Even the expertise of her building inspector sidekick cannot prevent a surprising development. Do you know this movie? Or do you need more clues?
Who plays the guy, the British guy?
Alfred Molina. Does that help you?
I think I've seen this movie. I don't know the name of it.
It stars Helen Slater, and there's a cameo.
Famous for being Supergirl.
Yes, and there's a cameo by Stephen Fry.
No, what is this movie?
I'll give you the best IMDb review first.
Okay, the best IMDb.
The basic plot is Supergirl teams up with Doc Ock to steal money from a hedge fund run by Oscar Wilde. It's a very British movie, which isn't that funny, but okay for a wet afternoon. So Helen Slater plays Supergirl.
Yeah.
Alfred Molina plays Dr. Octopus. Yeah. And Stephen Fry played Oscar Wilde.
Yes.
So yeah. It's called The Steal. That's the name of the movie. 1995, The Steal. It's got 4 stars on IMDb. 4 out of 10.
Oh,
that's
Alfred
one for me.
Molina.
Ding, ding.
He's so fantastic.
Oh, he's a great actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a good
Stephen
movie.
Fry's great.
She's a hackeress. That's one for me.
Yes.
1 point for me. That's the only one I've got for you this week.
Okay.
All right. So what's our next episode?
Our next episode.
The first episode of season 20.
The Ghost of Coston Abbey.
And who do we get to see in it? Who's our new coroner?
Annette Badlands.
We love Annette.
Absolutely fantastic. Both this and Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. Well, so many things.
She's great.
I didn't realize she's in Jabberwocky, the very first.
I know you've mentioned that before.
Yeah. So I've been
like
spending my entire life watching Annette Badlands.
Yes, you just didn't know it.
Yeah.
And my gosh, we're coming up on season 20. There's only 22 seasons so far. We're coming up on it.
We're
creeping up on the end of Midsomer.
And then the new categories begin.
Yeah. We're going to have to diversify.
The new adventure begins, and it could either be a whole new audience along with this audience, or else we're going to...
Everybody abandons us.
Fail off into obscurity.
But that's not for 2 more seasons.
Yes, we still have lots of months to go.
All right, so next week is season 20, episode 1.
Yes.
And that will be episode 117. In the meantime, print out your Bernie the Badger picture.
Yes.
Take a picture of him. Let us know where you are. We can put you on the big map and you might win a prize.
Find a Midsomer Maniacs on Twitter, Instagram, and email. Also on the Facebook groups for Midsomer and Acorn and the subreddit. If you're listening to us on YouTube, or really if you ever use YouTube, go to us and like and subscribe and hit the bell. We are so close to getting 1,000 subscribers.
If we get it, we can have like watch parties and stuff.
Watch
It'll be
parties
fun.
And all sorts of things. Just get us over that hump. It would be really appreciative.
That's it. All right. So until next week, bye, Maniacs.
Bye, Maniac.